Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on About Scope. So we've just finished with About Modules, and so I'm going to open About Scope. I can just type tab in here, SCOPE, and it autofills there. So that could be useful for you. So yeah, we're going to open up over here, and I'm going to close the Modules folder because we're complete with that one. And so here we have About Scope. We see that our line we're failing in the Koans folder on About Scope on line 21. So here we've got 21. Test dog is not available in the current scope. So here we have dog.new. Yeah, so, interesting. Dog.new. This is probably going to be a no method error, right? Dog.new, because we can't instantiate a dog. Okay, so what this is showing us is that these classes in dogs are elements of these modules. They're subclasses of modules, so Jims and Joes. So when we just create it here, it's the same problem here. Now, so I'm going to exit my old REPL from the last one, and you can see I'm within this folder, but it doesn't matter. You can open a REPL from anywhere. So if I go IRB, that opens me up into a Ruby REPL, and if I were to immediately just go dog.new, what happens? There's no, a name error. There's just nothing there. You can't initialize something that's not there. And I think that that's what this is trying to show us here. So we want to fill this in with a name error. Yeah, test, you can reference nested classes using the scope operator. Okay, cool. So this just shows us that we can do this a little bit differently. So I'm going to just pump this into my REPL. Just copy these modules and classes and pipe them into here. And so now if we were to go dog.new, that still is a name error. But what happens if we go Jim's dog? There we go. And we could go jimsdog.new, I think. And we can initialize that as a thing. So we could be like Jim's dog Rex is equal to there. And then now we've got Jim's dog Rex is a class being instantiated. So that's what they're showing here. So if you go assert equal Fido, who is an instance of one of Jim's dogs, and you say Fido.identify, you're going to see that it's going to come out to here because the Jim is here. And Rover, which is a Joe's dog.new, you're going to see here, so if you can identify the owner, and we could call this one Joe's dog. If I were to actually write this, I would say identify the owner, because I like longer method names, and make this identify the owner. But we don't have to worry about that for now. Fido.class is not equal to rover.class. Cool, so what's that saying? Well, here, let's just instantiate these inrs so that we can play with them a little bit. Fido, and then we've got rover.new for Joe's dog, and so rover.class. Rover, okay, cool, so rover.class, it's Joe's, which is the module, and then it's an instance variable of class. So I think rover.ancestors would give us something. Rover. What was it? Anyways, so yeah, rover.class. So is Fido.class equal to rover.class? Fido.class. Rover.class. Are those equal? No, just this is Jim's dog, Jim's module, and then dog class, and then this is Joe's module, dog class. So these are not going to be equal. Because they're not equal, this is actually going to be true. Jim's dog is not equal to Joe's dog. Yeah, sure. That's like true. Like they're not the same thing. So this renders out to true, and so we want to assert equal true is true. This true, and this is true. So I think that'll work. So test bare bones class names assume the current scope. So class string, about scope string. About scope string is equal to string. I'm not even sure whether that one would work. Now this is a tough one just to instantiate in IRB because it requires that we set a class in here, and we can't really do that. I'm going to say test the bare bone class assumes the current scope. So because string is being instantiated within scope, I think that this is going to be true. Assume the current scope. Okay, I'm not sure. We can run the rake test just to see about that. So I'm going to come over here and go rake. And I'm pressing up as a quick way to run former terminal commands. So we've got about scope on line 46. Looks like we passed. So this was true. Hi.class, string is equal to there. Well, yeah, string is a class. It's naturally built into Ruby just as a language. And then if we were to just check the class of a string, it's going to be string. So this is true. And a test use the prefix scope operator to force global scope. Yeah, string. I guess it just returns the class. Same thing, hi, the same thing, string. So string is equal to string. So I think that this is just kind of to show you that you can do the prefix of double colons to modify or utilize the parent classes. So test constants are defined with an initial uppercase letter. So this is actually, I think, kind of like a poor choice because pi, constants are just going to be capital letters followed by a bunch of smaller letters. And so pi is just having to do two capitals is kind of confusing. I think pi is oh, it's not. Okay, so this is just saying that you're setting up a, I think this is called a global variable. They're calling it a constant, but assert equal pi. So that's just saying that they're setting this variable to 3.1416, 3.1416. So you can save that. Cool. Moving on, string. My string is equal to string, so we can test that class names are just constants. So we're just testing that this is very similar to this. So class names are constants. So because my string is equal to string, our memory points to string, and so if we say whatever, if we render out my string, it's going to become equal to : string, and then here :string is equal to : string. Yes, that's true. Hi.class is equal to string, and then my string is equal to that. That is also going to render out true, right? If we go my string is equal to string, and then we go hi.class, and then we say my string, you can see that just renders out to string. So this is just showing you different ways of checking. And this is really useful stuff. It seems kind of silly when you're just doing a koan and it's just this simple exercise. But when you're debugging a large application and you've got modules and classes nested upon each other, being able to just kind of test these things is very, very useful. Test constants can be looked up explicitly. So about scope, where's that? Okay, so about scope is our class here, and we have it available within our class. We can say const get pi. This must just be a Ruby thing. I haven't actually seen this one. So it's saying get the constant variable that is nested within the class of about scope. And so we're getting the constant within the class of scope equal to pi. So pi is set up here. We're passing it in as a string. That's pretty interesting. So pi is equal to about, yeah, it's saying, so this is sort of in circular logic, but it's just saying, are these equal? Well, yeah, they are, because it's just getting this, it's getting the constant of pi from here. And we can't do this in the REPL because we need to actually do it in here. So that's why it's kind of tricky. So get constant my string is equal to string. So this is going to render out to this guy, and then my string is also going to render out to this guy. So they're just calling the same thing in two different ways. And that's just what they're showing you here. I've never used this const get thing. I'm not even sure about that. So we'll have to run the Rake test to find out. Test, you can get a list of constants from any class or module. So we've got a gem set up here, and we've already saved it in our REPL, so we could go gem.constants. And so gem.constants, we're just showing that, I think this just shows constants. Whoa, crazy. I didn't know that you could do that. That just gives you all the class methods. Interesting. So the constants we can just see from here are going to be dog. Cool. Constants.size. Objects. Wow, this is pretty cool. Object.constants. Okay, so what does this tell us? This tells us Object is the big one. We could also go object.methods, and this is going to give us a giant. This is going to make our terminal huge, but this just shows you all the different things you can do with an object. And so a dog, no, let's say all these, like, just check it out. The first one, new allocate superclass, and then it keeps going with a ton of built-in Ruby stuff. But we could also be like gyms dog dot methods. Very similar thing, new allocate superclass. The difference here is that there is going to be another method in here of gyms dogs, which, okay, that's kind of confusing. Never mind that for now. So yeah, underscore n. What the heck is that? Objects.com is greater than n. Did I do that? Anyways, let's just save this now and see where we're at for now. Rake 46. About scope on line 46. It looks like I'm messing up 46. About scope line 46. So here's what's happening. String is equal to high.class. That's crazy. Is equal to high dot class. That's true. So string is equal to high dot class. That should be true. So I don't know. I'm gonna save here. I'm gonna run this again, see if for some reason it's making a mistake. About scope, line 46. Huh. Expect true to equal false. Test nested string is not the same as a system string. Oh, okay, cool. So system string, so because we're nested within this scope, the class of string has been overwritten. So this would be a really bad thing to do in a real program. And that's going to make it so that the strings don't work. You're not going to have access to these. So this is actually false. Interesting. This is why I like Koans. It makes it so you think about things deeply. And it looks like we're still failing one on line 77. So let's come down here on our last one. Object size. It says failed assertion. Object.constants.size. Test, you can get a list of constants for any class or module is greater than, I guess, in here we could put in 1 and it's going to pass. I'm not sure why they would do that. It is interesting. We were able to see the gyms.constants is greater than 0. Yeah, so gyms.constants or gyms constants dot size. Gyms constants, he has 1 constant, but the object dot constants dot size is equal to 131. So yeah, I guess that's what this is showing you. I mean, we could just make this 130 and that would be kind of explicit. So if we were to run our rake task, I'm pressing Command K to clear the terminal. And we see now we're on about class methods, which is our next one. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is very useful stuff, and it's getting very, very, very interesting. And hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next lesson.